Good to have you. 274. It's a Monday night. Live, my good friend Reanna Reed. I'm going to call her Rack Jedi, Redkin Artist Connection. Jedi was actually with her earlier today on a Zoom. Very coincidental. She's here tonight to really, she's reimagined her clientele. What it was prior to COVID really has changed the shape of it, and it has dramatically improved her. It's not like she wasn't making money before, but now she's making more money, and she's working less hours, and she's serving less people. But she's making that by, I'm going to call it greater service and being more conscious of how she's booking herself and more conscious of her prices. And it's just a real interesting reinvention that she had. And as she was catching me up to her life, I thought, yeah, I need to bring you back for an encore, Reanna, and so people can hear what I hear. So if you've... we don't want to tell her story tonight because we told her story 18 months ago. If you want to watch that episode, just kind of rewind back to 210. But here's the role that she's been on. In 2017, this is 75,000 W-2. She popped it 10 grand in 2018. 2019 cracked 100. And this is what was interesting. In 2020, the year of COVID, I think they were shut down a number of weeks, and she got caught up. But this year, what's interesting is she's trending to do 110, and you can see she's down 4 to 5 hours a week. So she's cut her time down by probably 20% behind the chair, and she's making $10,000 more a year. To me, that is a very big deal. And how she did it is very, very unique. So I wanted to invite her back for that. Her timeline is that, she graduates from high school in the first decade of the new millennium and then goes to hair school on the back end of the first decade, starts at Salon Nathaniel as an associate in a 6-month program. The rest is history. So she's been hanging out there for a little bit more than a decade. And she is a level, last time I chatted with her, she was a level 4 AA. Just turned 30. Average day is 800. Haircut price now, she went from, increased her haircut prices during COVID by $20. It's a very, very, very gutsy move. So she went from wherever she was. I think she told me now I'll ask her. I think it's like 70, 80 something. We'll see. Average service ticket is 3 times, whatever her haircut price is, average service ticket is 3 times that at 180. Which tells me that if you want to hang out with her as a client, as a guest, there's an understanding. I want you involved into being full serviced by me, and that's one of the ways that she's able to make more money and work less hours a week, as you'll hear her say. She's really more of a referral rainmaker, which is our word for bringing in a lot of the referrals that she brings in. She keeps. You're going to find that her clientele has a different face on it today than it did 18 months ago. So probably 50% or more of guests that are in her clients today were not her guests prior to COVID. So she's reimagined that. So she's, 10 referrals or so a month, rebooking at 95%, which is kind of off the charts. And our retail percentage of 15%. So that's where she hangs. I told her that I was going to give you her Instagram handle, which is at Reanna.Reed. So I'm sure there will be a number of you that will want to reach out and either make a comment to her or ask her some follow-up questions. But now that she's also part of the Redkin faculty. She's a part of RAC, Redkin Artist Connection. I was actually with her today, so I'll get her talking about that. So she's in my green room. I'm going to go get her, and then we'll get her chatting about what she's doing that is making a difference. What you see me doing now is going to get her in my green room. She's there. I'm going to get her on full screen, and then I'm going to unmute her, and you're going to make her feel welcome by giving her a round of applause. Hi, Reanna.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Michael.
Good to see you, my friend. This is the second time today we get to see each other.
I know, pretty lucky, pretty lucky. It's so great to see you again, twice in one day.
Yes, yes. We for the people that are watching tonight, she was a participant in some like ultra high advanced training with Chris Barron and his partner Chris. Why am I blanking out?
Moody.
Chris
Mr.
Moody,
Moody.
and they had a probably 30, 40 artists on for what did they seclude you for a couple of days, and I came in and did a keynote on Generation C, and we knew we were going to see each other tonight, so the water's kind of warmed up for us, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is.
Well, it's been 18 months since you and I were here with this community, and you've been walking through a lot, and whatever you were doing back then and however things looked back then, they don't look that way now. So catch us up on what you've been up to and the changes that have been made in your life that are allowing you to make more money than you were making before, working less time.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so we all know, first of all, I could be here all night, probably for 3 weeks straight, talking about this. We've got like 20 to 30 minutes, so
Yep.
let's make it really impactful. But before we get into it, I just want to thank you, Michael, for having me on again. So awesome to see you, awesome to be here, and I really do appreciate all of your encouragement and support. So
Well, thank you.
It means a whole lot to be here.
It's good to have you back.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. So, yeah, I would agree, and I think everybody here would agree that times are way different than they were before 2020. And then even since we were on here live chatting, I think we had just reopened the salon after our shutdown. COVID was, I mean, it is, let's be real, we're still in the pandemic,
Right.
still
Yeah.
here.
Yes, yes.
But things have changed dramatically. But since we met and since we were live and talking about reopening from the shutdown, there was a lot of change, and I really at that point thought it was temporary change. I really thought it was something that we had to adjust to for the short term, and I had every intention on going back to the way things used to be. I don't know how many of you can agree with that, but I really thought that it was going to be temporary. And then fast forward a couple of months from there, it's not temporary. There was a lot that I think changed permanently, and we had to retrain our minds a little bit to accept the fact that a lot of stuff was not going to go back to normal. And now that actually excites me. I like the idea that we're transforming and transitioning, and that we could leave a lot of that stuff behind. So one of my big fears reopening after the shutdown was that I knew I wasn't going to be able to see as many people in the salon, right? So behind the chair. As a Summit 4 AA, anyone who can relate to that understands that we juggle multiple guests in the salon at one time. With the help of some amazingly talented teammates and associates, we made it happen, and it was a beautiful, Summit calls it a beautifully choreographed dance, and it is. It is. There was nothing bad about that process at all, but reopening after the shutdown, that was just not allowed. It was one guest at a time in the salon per service provider, no overlapping whatsoever. And I thought to myself, whoa, like, oops, I just unplugged my computer. See how passionate I am? So I thought to myself, how could I ever live off of seeing one person at a time? It had been years since I saw one guest at a time behind the chair, and that was the part that I thought was going to be temporary. And then I would go back to double booking and triple booking and doing all of that. And then I realized, let's fast forward, because again, I could stay on this topic forever. Quality over quantity, for sure, was something that was ringing in my mind. And I realized that if I could give a beautiful guest experience to one person at a time who was enjoying multiple services, higher quality, taking really, really great care of less people who are willing to and open to spending more money, that could be a beautiful process. And that is exactly what started happening slowly, naturally, because the results of COVID. And then we got really intentional about it. And we thought, well, we might not have to go back to seeing multiple people at a time behind the chair, that we might be able to take this idea and run with it. And that is when the transformation of my clientele sort of started. That all makes sense.
Oh my God! You're kind of like talking in tongues, Yeah, like you said a lot in a little. I want to unpack some of that because what I'm getting, I'm going to paraphrase what I think I heard. What you thought was temporary, we all thought it was temporary, and we were going to get out of this thing in like a year, and we're coming up to 2 years now. And I don't want to say it's an all bets off, but it's not in the rear view mirror yet. And you're thinking, okay, but when it'll be here sooner rather than later. The end, I'll go back to 2 or 3 at a time, double book, triple book. That's not where it's at. So you now have reinvented the way your patterns of booking, working one guest at a time. So the only way you can make that work mathematically is seeing less people, but getting them more involved in your work, which basically means getting them to make a higher investment in themselves when they come and be served by you. And you were telling me before the show tonight that whatever your haircuts were prior to COVID, they're $20 higher. So give us that. Where were they and where's it at now?
Great question. Yes. So I believe your chart was upon reopening, it was $64. Then I had level jumped and increased everything by just a couple of dollars, and then made a sort of brave decision to increase all of my services by $20 each. So my haircut went from $64 to $84.
$64 to $84, that's a $20 increase. Was that all at one price increase?
All at once.
Wow, and you're saying every service that I rendered, I added $20 to that.
I did.
So that basically ventilated your clientele. Whoever, unless somebody was seriously, in love with you and your work and the experience, they I'm going to call it kind of trickle down to the next tier or the lower tier. So that opened up some opportunities for you. And then you were telling me before the show that the types of clients that you were attracting to kind of replace, kind of fill that vacancy, were coming in a totally different way. Talk about that piece, that Generation C piece.
Let's talk about that. So I was pleasantly surprised and so grateful for every single person who did stick with me and take that leap with me. That's huge. And hey, if any of you are watching, thank you. Because I know it's not a bunch of hairdressers watching here. There might be some clients too. So thank you all. I appreciate your business. But it did open up some space for me to attract a new clientele, for sure. So social media is huge. And when we talk about me being in the industry now for about 12 years, I'm kind of like half of my career was sort of pre-social media, and then the second half is sort of post, and it's such a huge tool. So I have utilized my social media, Instagram mainly, to attract really my ideal clientele, whether it's the services that I want to perform, maybe the personalities that I'm attracting a specific sort of demographic, I suppose, of people who are either interested in the hair cutting that I'm putting out there, the coloring that I'm putting out there, or maybe even a little bit of my personality or my interests, places that I go, things that I tag. I've been attracting people who are really like-minded and like personalities. So it's been really an enjoyable transformation, an enjoyable process. But I've really made it a point to share the work that I want to do and that I want to attract. So
wow.
Go to my Instagram. Oh, was that another big one?
Well, yeah. Is another, because what I'm hearing you say, and this is really, because this is now kind of like a tutoring session that we're engaging the community on tonight. Would it be an exaggeration to say that at least 50% of the clientele you have today, you did not have, not just prior to COVID, but prior the $20 increase per service, that really did air out or ventilate your clientele, and that for all intents and purposes, you've replaced clients that have kind of trickled down with a different type of client that came from the way you branded yourself on Instagram. And when you told me that, I said, well, by definition, though that is a very different type of client. They're digital. They hang out not just on social media, but on the internet in general. And so, have you? First of all, am I hearing that right? That you really did reimagine your clientele.
Did.
Now, the other part then, Reanna, that I'm just real curious about is how is that client profile, if you will, different than the clients you were saying you've been in the game for 13 years? So the clients that you had been serving for many, many years prior to that, we'll call it major pivot. Can you give us some kind of difference in that client versus the client that you had?
Yeah. So I will say that my existing guests who have been with me along this journey have really transformed with me. They get inspired by the new trends, and they are also interested in what I'm doing and what I'm posting, and they're just as excited about the social media presence as everybody else. So that's kind of cool. They're along the ride with me. And then the new guests that I'm attracting again they're creative people. They're interested again, I feel like I'm enjoying a lot more of what I'm doing behind the chair, and I've been given a lot more creative freedom, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There's a level of trust of someone coming in for the very first time. The building trust in a guest, I feel, is starting prior to them even coming into the salon. So that's a huge point. They're coming already inspired. They're coming already with requests of things that I have done. Their inspiration is coming from the work that I have put out. So I've had a lot of people, it's not about the money. It's not even about the traveling and the location. It's people attracted to the page, the work, the art, the personality.
Right. Well, here is, I'm being tutored as we speak. So I want to, again, I'm going to try to unpack some things you're saying to me for the community. One is I can't help but wonder that, let's say, whatever number of clients you had in this thing called clientele prior to COVID, my hunch is half of them were already Gen Z. They were more digital than not. The other half will say traditional. So when you came back from, as you reinvented it, to me, the big pivot is the price hike. That basically is making an announcement to everyone. I'm reinventing myself. I'm going in a direction. Love to have you come. I understand for whatever reasons if it's not your direction. So any clients that kind of moved on, my hunch is probably more of a traditional than Gen Z, Generation C. And you reinvented your Instagram page to attract more Gen Z, more clients that came in that at $180 ticket where you didn't have to work so hard to upsell them. They were coming in sold, if you will. But you mentioned something. You just did a real quick drive-by about hashtag. I'm hashtagging so that my content is going to the communities that have the type of client that I want. Talk more about that piece.
Yes. So I love that piece also. So at one point early in my career, it was all about business cards. It was all about word of mouth. And it still is. Those tools still work. Friends will still tell their friends. That is amazing. We're never going to let that go. But Instagram is a business card that you have a huge amount of reach way beyond your friends handing a card to another friend or a stranger at the grocery store. So being very intentional with that is something that I've been working on. Hashtags are huge. And actually, I'm glad you bring that up because I always ask if somebody sits in my chair for the very first time, or they reach out on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social channel, when they reach out for the first time, I always ask, how did they find my page? Did a friend send them to my page? Did they find it through like a hashtag? And being from Connecticut, I have to say, the number one hashtag lately that people have been sharing with me that they found my page through is Connecticut hair artists. So I encourage all of you, to whatever state you're in, to, whether it's New York, Massachusetts, California, wherever your location, put that before hair artist or hairstylist or hair salon. That will drive business.
All right, so say that one more time. The hashtag that really worked for you, that was a surgical strike, it was hashtag
Connecticut hair artist.
Hashtag Connecticut hair artist. Now, Connecticut, the state, right? It's not the city. You were hashtagging the state, but hair artist, and for whatever reasons, that struck oil. You struck oil there, and you found a number of new clients come in that requested you, and when you said, how'd you hear about me? On Instagram, but specifically hashtagged Connecticut hair artist.
Right.
That's a secret. That's big time secret sauce, Reanna.
It is big time. It is big time. If I hadn't heard it at least 10 times now, I probably wouldn't have mentioned it. But every time I ask, I would say 80% of the time that someone has found me through a hashtag, it has been that one. But regardless, in addition to that, hashtags in general work, locations work, people can find your page through all sorts of ways and hashtags on Instagram.
I'm just guided to say this because you're talking in tongues, right? It's like I don't know if you maybe you've said this before and I just haven't heard you say it, but I wrote it down. You said, there's nothing wrong with handing out business cards in whatever the traditional way was, but you said Instagram is a business card, but with a much, 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 much greater reach, it's a digital business card. I'd never thought of that before. And then you said, when you understand hashtag, now that business card in one click is going out to hundreds, thousands of the types of clients that you need so that you can make as much or more money working less days a week. I mean, that's what I got from this. Now, am I hallucinating, or is that what you're pointing to?
You are not hallucinating. No, that is exceptionally the point. So if somebody lands on my page and they enjoy the work that I'm doing and it's something that they're attracted to, then they are a potential guest. So in a nutshell,
curious to know, and this is not, we're being organic tonight. None of this is rehearsed, you guys. So what I'm curious about is when they're new clients, how are they getting booked? Are they getting booked traditionally, like calling in? Are they using online booking? Are you doing any kind of pre-visit virtual consultation on this type of a client that's coming via Instagram? Be curious to know where that is in all of this.
I love that. Great question. So it's a blend. I would say more than not, I get a DM first. Some will go directly to my bio, and I have a link that can take you directly to our website where they can schedule their own reservation, and that happens beautifully. It's seamless. It's no extra work. A lot of people do DM me with questions first, which I love because then it can prompt a conversation. And then from there, I do a lot of virtual consultations, which has also been new since COVID. I hate saying COVID, I should say the pandemic. Whatever, you get the point.
The global pneumonia.
It saves everybody time.
Yeah.
So we could do a quick login either before or after one of my shifts, maybe even in 15 minutes in between my day. They don't have to travel to the salon. We can get on, have a quick conversation about expectations, wants, needs, desires. Is it something that's possible? We can get the conversation going so that by the time they even come into the salon, we're almost ready and prepared to just get started. And
Right.
services.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. I think just the fact that a potential client would DM you, that in and of itself, to me, qualifies as a virtual consultation. That even if we're DMing back and forth, they might even send you a piece of a selfie. And put it in a DM, or maybe they take a screen grab of a piece of content from your grids and they upload it into the DM. To me, that is a simplified version of a virtual consultation. Virtual consultations don't necessarily be face-to-face, and the more we study them and the more they're going from early adopter to early majority, I would say that the overwhelming majority of virtual consultations are being done on DMing, the DM feature on Instagram, which keeps it safe and simple for you and them.
Yes, it's convenient. It makes a lot more sense time-wise, and it just is easier for everyone. And even if they don't send photos right away, likely they're going to send what they're interested in. And it's not weird to ask for the photo.
Right. No.
Ask for something. What does your hair look like now?
I see. So when if they don't send it in a DM, that you DM them back, DM me a selfie of you so we can take a peek at this, and then any kind of, what do they call it? Inspiration, a picture of inspiration. You want to pick up a piece of content in my grids, my highlights, so that I can see what you are now, what you want to be, and we start having the consultation via DM. I mean, it's as basic and as simple as that. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then that circles all the way back to more money and less time behind the chair, because I'm not spending all of that time anymore.
Do you find that you're working, like you technically you're a 4AA? Are you still working with 2 associates? Are you down to 1 associate? Are you working by yourself? Like how's that changed things up with regard to how you're working with associates?
I love that. So I would love to be with 2 associates at once. If we could hire that many that quickly, we totally would. So I actually lately have not been working with an associate at all, but just did hire one. So everybody stay tuned. I'll be sharing that journey. But anyways.
But this is what's amazing. So, and that you're saying, look, when it's time for an associate, great. In the meantime, I have been able to make every bit of money that I was making with 2 associates. I'm now currently, it's myself and my guest, and I'm making more money. And by the way, I'm working 20% less behind the chair. But I've had to radically and dramatically change things up in my pricing. And I'm using Instagram and hashtag strategies to go out and bring the type of client into me that isn't going to have sticker shock. That they're going, oh yeah, not an issue. So this is really, I think, an unprecedented, not just conversation that you and I are having, but it's unprecedented what you're doing, and your comment about Instagram as a digital business card, but with a mega reach. Huge. Well, we're on the back end of our time, and we're just getting warmed up. So I want to do a couple things. One, promise me you'll come back way sooner than later, so that because I think that whatever you're pioneering and innovating now, and the way it looks now, is going to pale and compared to what it's going to look 3 months from now, never mind 6, but maybe right after the first of the year, we get you back for an encore. Number 2, I want everybody on the call tonight, as well as people that'll be watching this, you are now officially a Redken artist educator, and not if, but when people bring you in, use their points to bring you in, whether that's in real time or on the online. They can, when you do your Redken thing, this teaching can be brought in as kind of like a value added that you can add to the Redken content. So that would be wonderful, Reanna.
I love that. I love that. This is what it's really all about, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. So your hashtag, your Instagram handle again is, I just had it in front of me. Reanna.read. So it's a very, very, very simple handle. If they go there, they can DM you, and you can pick up on the conversation where we're leaving off tonight. And people are really sending you a lot of good kudos that this was just an extraordinary tutorial. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank all of you. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, I'm going to let you get back to the fam. I'll do a quick little wrap up here, but we'll see you on campus sooner rather than later, and we're going to express our gratitude by giving a big round of applause to Reanna Reed. Thank you, my friend. Stay well. All right.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to chatting in the future.
Okay. Bye.
Look forward to being back. Bye-bye.
There we go. Wow, give it up, you guys. I wasn't expecting the tutorial that we got tonight from Reanna Reed. That was incredible. Let me tell you what my take is on it. I was taking notes, by the way. I mean, I really was. What I'm trying to do is get my power. There we go. I was taking notes. That what I got. One of the things that I got from her was. She really did pivot from, a 4 AA working with 2 associates to now she's working herself, 1 guest at a time. And mathematically, that doesn't make sense. That sounds like it's counterintuitive, except she did something that I think is radical, like radical on steroids. She increased the prices of her haircuts by $20 and all the other service by 20, and half of her clientele she lost. They tiered because they just said, well, I just don't have the financial wherewithal to follow. So she had a lot of inventory, if you will, on her book. And what she did is she reinvented her brand on Instagram, started hashtagging various communities inside of it. I loved her analogy, her term. She said, traditionally we would hand out cards, we would network, and she said, Instagram is a business card. Oh, it's a digital business card. That's one of those blinding, freaking flashes of the obvious. Like, I knew that. I never really said it that way before. That's huge. And the reach, every time you click a button and hand out the card, it's going out to hundreds and thousands of the type of people that you want as clients. That's they say that the essence of genius is simplicity. That idea is simply genius. And she found what that hashtag was. That's huge. Huge. So that's you can see how stoked I am about that. And and she's working, and she's calmer. It's not 1 in the chair, 2 in the bowl, 3 waiting, anorexic, hooked up to a catheter because I'm so busy don't have time to eat or pee. She's like self-care. Welcome to post-COVID. I mean, that's post-COVID. And so, the bottom line is, she's almost doubled her average ticket. She's working on half the people. It's her and somebody else. She's making $110,000. That's what she's trending this year, and she's doing it in a week that's got 4 to 5 hours less in it than the week before COVID. So if I'm you, knowing what I know, I would be doing what I'm going to do, and that is watching this tutorial again, and we'll be kind of cooking it down into a micro learning. But this was an off the charts tutorial tonight by Miss Deanna Reed. Please give it up for Deanna. All right, you're watching Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist, Michael Cole Summit, Millionaire Stylist, powered by L'Oreal. These are my handles on Facebook and Instagram, same handles on both those platforms. Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist. I'm hanging out just for kicks and giggles on TikTok as well, and I was on Clubhouse, but people are coming back to have conversations on Facebook Live again. So stay tuned. We'll see where that goes. But what this conversation will be tonight, we'll edit it into a micro learning, like a 5 to 10 minute, kind of like the peaks of the conversation. And I promise I will put that on my IGTV channel on Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist Instagram. So please take advantage of that. While I'm here with you, we have a .com now called SummitSalon365.com, putting a lot of high value production value video on there, more of tutorial courses. I've just put a new piece of content on called Summit Top 20 Wellness Training, and this module is called Mindfulness. Mental, emotional mindfulness, and it really is, I'll tell you, a great kind of psychological booster shot, if you will, to get us through some of the the turbulent times we are as we continue to navigate COVID. So I wanted to do a plug on that. Also, if you haven't been on my Instagram page, go to the link, my link tree, and we've got brand new gamified calculators. Well, I got one called the Dream Machine. Basically, you're setting an annual W-2 goal, and the intelligence that we've built into the calculator breaks it down to what you would need, your average day in service and average day in retail and average ticket. Now we can start hunting on Instagram to get the number of clients we want to fill that. So it's basically a calc that makes your dreams come true. And I'm not being cute with the words. And then we've got another calculator, and this is all compliments now, of L'Oreal, a calculator called the Golden Goose. So as your income starts climbing, we want you to start taking some of that income and saving it, so that over time you're building a goose that lays golden eggs. And it's one of the calculators that's really, really responsible. I think it's between the Dream Machine and the Golden Goose that really plots a plan to get you to being a millionaire before you're halfway done with your career. And of course, to make that happen, we need to be debt-free. So we created a gamified calc called the Debt-Free Debt Reduction Calc. So this is all compliments, L'Oreal. So this is not a pitch to get you to buy something or subscribe something. Go to my Instagram page, hit my link tree, and you'll see them. And have fun with them. They work big time. So want to end the program by, as we always do, expressing gratitude to L'Oreal, Salon, L'Oreal PPD. They are the exclusive business partner of Summit. These are L'Oreal's brands. Please support them. Biolage and Pulp Riot, Pureology, Kerastase, L'Oreal Professional, Redken, Matrix, Shoe, Mazzani. They're all there. The brands are all there, and we are also an advocate to advocate Salon Emotions as well. So support them. They continue to support us financially so that we can bring this content to you. Compliments of them. So it's been a heck of a night. I want to end the night by saying that on Thursday I'm going to have Randy Kunkel is going to be my guest on this Thursday night. We're going to be talking about, I wouldn't call Randy a Jedi, I'd call him a Summit Yoda. And we're going to be talking about some of the whys behind the core systems of Summit. We're going to talk about the level chart. We're going to talk about the associate program. We're going to talk about the planning part of it, and how, as all of that's becoming digitalized, it's blowing up people's income. So it should be. I've not had Randy on as a guest before, and yet he's present at almost every interview I do. So that's going to be fun. Make sure you don't miss that. So great night. Get back, have a little din-din, have a great week. I'll hook up with you a couple of days from now when I have Mr. Randy Kunkel on. So thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you soon.